Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Hi, this is Kelly.
And this is Jenna.
And you're listening to ODFM.
This episode is one devourment from murder. And I did Google it. That is a word. So I wasn't sure if that was literally, and it is.
Are we talking about desserts? Because I'm very good at devouring desserts.
God, no. This is very much not. This is not like a death by chocolate moment. It's not. It's because that I can handle.
Yeah. Uh-oh. All right.
When I get into this, you're going to be sorry you said.
Okay. Maybe it'll help me eat less that way.
Oh, actually, yes. If anybody here is trying to cut back on eating, you might want to download this episode to play periodically
before each mealtime.
Hey, Kelly, you're looking really good. What are you doing? Oh, I've been listening to this podcast.
All I got to listen to is this episode over and over again.
Oh, God. Okay. Are you ready?
I
Our story begins January 1st, 2014 in the southwest portion of Oregon.
Oh, okay. So very recent.
Yeah. It probably isn't, but it feels like it is. No, it is pretty recent. It's not like when we say, not that long ago and it was like 2000 and you're like, shit, that was over 20 years ago. I hate that shit.
I do too. God
damn it. Okay, so yeah, I guess 2014, it really is not that long ago.
No,
okay.
I mean, it's within...
within reason.
A decade.
A decade. Oh, God. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to start. So Jesse Haney and his siblings haven't heard from their father, 56-year-old Robert Haney, in more than 2 months. These are adult children, by the way. It's not like he abandoned them. These are grown-ups.
I'm 2. Where's Daddy? Yeah,
right, exactly. No.
Okay.
So 56-year-old Robert Haney, MIA for 2 months, right?
Yikes.
Robert worked construction and was an excellent handyman. According to his son Jesse, Robert could build an entire house from the ground up himself.
Dude, I can't tell you how bad I need that right now with my building shit I'm going through.
Oh, God. It's impressive, but also, I don't know, part of me is like, really? Just the one person?
Yeah.
Like, how qualified are you?
Yeah.
That makes me nervous.
Oh, my God. Seriously. True.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't you want
Doesn't
a friend?
It take a team? Yeah, a friend. Someone to hold the tools.
Right,
hand
exactly.
them to you.
Right, because, when I get tired and I'm just like, that's good enough. No one else to hold you accountable.
God, they did that so bad on my building. I have so many stories.
I'm out of nails. The one will stay, right? That's good enough, right? That's good.
God. So short little speech about that. My building, so it's over 150 years old now. That, brick. So they take out these giant front windows. Yeah. You're supposed to put supports in when you take out giant front windows out of a brick building. They didn't do that. So the building sagged.
No!
And they wanted to just leave it and try to build the windows to fit that. Those.
What, were they going to make them come lower?
Yeah, they were going to try to fill in gaps or something somehow. So we were like, no, you need to put in supports and raise it up.
Way to go, guys. It managed to stand for 150 years.
Yeah, you guys
cocked it up. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Well, from what I understand, Robert would not have done that to you.
Robert would have been wonderful. Where was he when I was getting my windows done? Yes. Okay. Anyway.
So it's too bad. It's too bad you didn't have Robert.
For reals.
Okay. So for the past 2 years, Robert had been living out of a camper with his dog. And he was kind of enjoying not having a permanent residence. He was digging it. Okay.
He would not have to have all the junk and have to.
Right. He was enjoying being more nomadic, going where the work was and then leaving when he wanted to.
Really
right.
Nice. Yeah.
So he's moving around. He's taking on jobs here and there, whatever. He stayed in touch with his kids, but sometimes they wouldn't hear from him for a month, maybe
Makes
2.
Sense. Yeah.
But they did hear from him consistently. Right.
Okay.
The previous spring. So this would be spring of 2013. Robert had taken a job on a remote farm in Weimar, Oregon that was owned by a woman named Susan Monica. And
2 first names.
Oh, I'll come back to that. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
All right.
In exchange for working on the farm, He was paid cash and allowed to live in his camper on the property with his dog.
Nice.
So it was kind of like he got some cash plus...
Yeah, plus a living
live here,
place.
right?
Free. Okay.
And he really enjoyed it because it was a really secluded, wooded property. So he was was happy. He was enjoying living there, right? You know, so that's where they knew he was. But when the Haney siblings realized that none of them had heard from their dad in a couple months, and then the holidays went by, they're like, this is weird, right? We didn't hear from him at Christmas.
Okay, so the last place they heard of him was at this
farm, right?
The double
named
name
woman.
chick.
Right.
Okay.
On New Year's Day, 2014, I think it was just 3 of the siblings, Jesse and like 2 other kids. They're grown-ups. I keep saying kids, but you know, they drove out together to the farm in Weimar to, you know, like basically check on their dad. Wilbur. Right.
All right.
So they're like, we're gonna go check on our dad. Like, we haven't heard from him. This is a little weird,
little
right?
sketch. Yeah.
So when they arrived, their father's employer and landlord, Susan, told them that Robert hadn't been there in several months.
Okay, but is his stuff there?
Yeah. So Susan told them that in early September, so it's quite a few months ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Robert unexpectedly quit. And she asked them, can you, by the way, his stuff is here. Can you come get him? And his camper's parked over there. And they're
How about
like,
the doggy?
So the dog was still there. Odd, no?
Yeah.
So they walk over to his camper and they saw that Robert had left behind a whole bunch of personal belongings that they were like, this doesn't seem right. His motorcycle helmet, his leather jacket, and especially his dog.
Yeah.
Who was still running around the property. And they were like, this is really, like, he wasn't like someone, he was being taken care of, obviously. But the dog's still there.
But
and they're
still,
like, he would not
leave.
up and quit. Like, he didn't have another house. This was his house. He left everything here. Plus, he had also left his tools lying around. And they were kind of in disarray. And, like, that was his livelihood.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. You never leave without your tools.
Right. He took very good care of them. They were always in excellent condition and put away and everything. And they're like, this is weird. So Jesse was quoted saying that seeing his father's belongings left like that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Like he was like, I get a real bad vibe from this, right? So they're like, something happened. Like he just up and quit.
I wouldn't be as suspicious except that she said he came to her and said he quit. Like if he had just gone missing, I wouldn't think of her so much.
But still it'd be like, and he left this stuff, and you didn't call us, or
say anything,
right? Weird.
Yeah.
Little background on Robert. Robert Haney was born June 26, 1957. As a teen, he was very quiet. He didn't have a lot of friends. He didn't really date. He was a loner. He was kind of an oddball. Whatever.
Yeah.
He ended up dropping out of high school, and he ran away with his brother Don. I don't know what his home life situation was, but obviously, I don't think it was all that ideal because Right. So he never graduated high school, but he and his brother, like, they didn't just, like, take off and, like, live a life of leisure. Like, they both, they learned about plumbing and construction. Like,
That's awesome.
Started getting work and getting jobs. And Robert actually became known in, like, the local construction industry as, like, a really good handyman.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So he kind of was making a name for himself.
Nice.
And so right around that time, he met a girl named Thalia Larson at a party. Okay. I don't know how he didn't have friends, so I don't know how he got invited to the party.
How to get a party?
Beats me. I don't know. Maybe he was working on the house and the party happened around him. I don't know.
It's like, well, I'm already here. May as well have a beer.
Right? Okay.
With his tool belt on. It was a costume party, but he's like, hey, I'm already in costume.
Exactly. Oh, well, I guess I'm ready to go. So someone hands him a beer. He's like, well, it is 5 o'clock. I guess, why not? Right?
Sure.
I guess they hit it off. They got married in the early 80s, and they had 5 children together.
Wow. Yes,
right?
That's a lot.
That's a lot of kids. But sadly, they argued a lot, and their marriage wasn't so great. According to Jesse, his parents argued a lot, and Robert worked 6 days a week to provide for his family, because there's a lot of mouths.
Yeah.
And also to kind of escape his unhappiness. Like, he kind of buried himself in work. He took a lot of extra jobs and stuff, right?
Oh, shit.
But they stayed together for a pretty long time because they didn't get divorced until 2003.
Wow.
Yeah. 2003. That's when they got divorced. And then Robert moved to Medford, Oregon with his children. I think it was just 4 of them. I think the oldest one had moved out by then.
Oh, okay.
But still, like, he took the children with him. So I don't know what went on in that marriage, but
yeah, maybe it was he made the money, so it was easier for them to be with him.
Yeah, he provided. I don't know, right? There wasn't a lot of info on that. So in 2012, when his youngest child finally moved out, Robert was ready for a change, right? He had, provided for everybody, sure.
Yes. Now it's time for him.
Yeah. So he sold his house and he bought a camper and a dog.
Yes.
And this is when he started his all right, now I'm just going to go where the wind takes me and do jobs. And
that's awesome.
He sounds like he was tied down and very responsible for a lot of people for a long time.
Yeah. So he wants to do it his way. Yeah.
Good for him, right?
Yeah.
So in 2013, he answered an ad on Craigslist looking for a handyman.
Oh.
The ad had been placed by 63-year-old Susan Monica, a pig farmer who lived kind of an off-the-grid lifestyle.
Uh-oh.
On a very remote farm, which is really weird because we've been watching that Off the Grid show on.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about that. Really... I need to watch that.
Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting one.
Okay. Also, pigs, big pigs scare me.
Oh, yeah.
Because of Hannibal.
I was just going to say, have you seen Hannibal? Right. Exactly.
And that is the whole reason.
That's all I think of now.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you.
Even though I have a friend that, hi, Jamie, she listens to this. My friend with a pig farm has adorable pigs and they're super sweet. And I don't think they're going to eat me. So,
okay.
Side note. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's cute little potbelly pigs, and then there's hogs that look like.
Yeah, that's true. And hers are big pigs, but they're not hogs.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Right.
I guess I wouldn't want to be trampled and then left out in the pasture.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Here's an apple.
Yeah, okay. Here's an apple. Here's an apple. All right. So. When I say off the grid, she didn't have electricity, there was no running water, there was no sewage system. It was off the grid, which coincidentally is how some of these people live on this show.
I mean,
love off the grid. Give it a watch.
Oh, God.
Man.
Water. I have to have water.
Yeah.
Running water.
Yes. So Robert's children filed a missing persons report with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Unfortunately, not only had Robert already been missing or no trace of him for 3 months, he's been gone 3 months now, right? But he worked in a cash industry.
Oh, yeah.
She was paying him cash, right?
Absolutely.
He didn't have a bank account. He didn't have credit cards. He didn't have a debit card. They didn't have a real great way to track him in that sense, right? He did, however, have an EBT card, which is food stamps, right? I had to look that up. But here's a fun little tidbit. In Oregon, it's known as your Oregon Trail card.
No way.
Yes,
That's
it is.
awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
That's super cool.
You need
dysenteria.
This card so you don't die of dysentery.
Yeah, dysentery.
Yes.
I said dysteria. What is that? It's
just hysteria and
yes, but you're not hysterical. You're dyshysterical.
Right, dysteria. You're the opposite. You have no emotion.
That's awesome. I feel hysterical today.
But I thought that was hilarious because I'm watching this show on it and they talked about it being an EBT card and I had to Google that because I didn't know what that I'd never heard of that before. I don't know. I guess I just still assumed that food stamps were
food stamps
paper.
Well,
I guess it didn't occur to me that they wouldn't be, right?
And here it's SNAP. I know.
Yes, and I've heard SNAP before, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this show and they're talking about, blah blah blah, his Oregon Trail card. I go, his
amazing.
What? Right?
Buy new wheel. Yes.
Love it.
Your cow just died. Oh. That was the best game.
Oh God, it was so good. Okay, so the Haney family, so they told police that before he disappeared, Robert had been deeply disturbed by a traumatic event. There isn't a lot of information on this. Unfortunately, this is very vague, but a family member had been the victim of a violent assault, and Robert heard about it and was having a really hard time dealing with that information. He wasn't assaulted. I don't know who the family member was. I don't know if it was a female or a male.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
I don't know. It said assaulted, not killed. So I assume there's still, obviously it was something traumatic still, whatever happened. And he had a hard time dealing with that, right?
Okay.
So he became very depressed and angry. He was drinking heavily. And he made comments about really wanting revenge for this family member. He really wanted to get revenge, right?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's not so good, right?
Yeah, he has a lot of tools.
And he's, right? You've got a lot of tools, right?
Yeah.
So detectives are like, where do we start? The best thing we can do is start by the last place he was seen, which is Susan Monica's farm.
Absolutely.
So they're like, all right, that's where we're gonna go. The farm was 20 acres of land, wooded, very isolated. A gravel road led up to the property.
Okay.
And it's very, very cluttered and dirty.
Junk
There's
everywhere.
a lot of makeshift structures, broken down machines, equipment,
sucks.
things everywhere. And
the neighbors you don't want to have.
exactly. Like, there's literally just like, oh, is that where that broke? I guess that's where it's going to stay.
Here's your washer.
It was like if my 8-year-old had a farm.
Oh, yeah.
That's, and you left him there for like, I don't know, at least a couple days. It was like, oh.
Just shit everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to leave this. So Detective Eric Henderson spoke to Susan, who was very cheerful and willing to help with the investigation.
Okay.
Susan told detectives that Robert had been living on her property for about 6 months, and she described him as a great worker. He was very reliable. But in September, he received this phone call from a family member, learned about this assault, and things changed. He was very upset by this. He became depressed. He was not reliable anymore. He was drinking a lot. Like, he completely changed.
Wow.
And on September 9th, she said that she planned to confront him about his drinking and like, dude,
like get your shit together.
Yeah, you gotta get
work
your
to
shit.
do.
This is getting ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But instead he told her, I'm leaving. I have something I have to take care of. Kind of cryptic, right?
Yeah, very.
And he gave her some cash and said, can you take care of my dog for a while? Which apparently she agreed to, right? And then he got into a white sedan driven by another male and took off. And she had not seen him since.
Maybe you met him at the party.
That one party from like 30 years ago. Right. That guy. Yeah. So she kind of mentioned, she's like, I kind of wondered if he went to go get revenge for this family member. Like, I don't know. That was that was the impression she had, right? So, okay. So detectives are like, all right, well, that's not a whole lot to go on. So, but they decided that they would take a look into Susan, right? Okay. So let's research Susan
at the farm. Yeah. Look through the pig poop.
So, well, they kind of did a, preliminary look, and they looked at the camper and all that. I'm like, okay. They looked into Susan Monica. So Susan Monica was born in California on July 8th, 1948, as Steven Buchanan.
Aha! That is where the name changed.
So my asshole brain goes to, so he wanted to become a woman, and he couldn't decide between two names, so he went with both.
So he chose both. But he could have put one as his middle name. Like,
right?
Susan,
I don't know.
Monica Jones or whatever.
Susan Monica Buchanan even. I don't know. Whatever.
That's a great
last
name. I wonder if I'm related, because we're related to President Buchanan, who was known as one of the worst presidents in the U.S.
Get in line.
I was going to say until he was trumped by someone else.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. So,
anyway,
okay.
Weird. Okay, so she wanted to have very, very feminine names.
Right. Didn't want to have anything masculine, not even the last name.
Not even the last name.
We're going full woman.
Female.
So
go for it.
I was like, because that was my thought. I was like, what a weird name. And then I was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like,
like Ricky Bobby. Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
So masculine.
So, all right. So Steven served in the Navy during the Vietnam War.
Oof.
And after he was honorably discharged, that is when he began living as a woman by the name of Susan Monica. Okay, so from now on, it's Susan Monica. So Susan then began a successful career in engineering and worked on submarines in San Francisco, actually.
That's awesome.
And then in 1991, much like Robert, she was like, I'm done with this lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm going to go live where there are no people.
Right. So in 1991, she bought 20 acres in Weimar, Oregon. And from what I understand, it was raw land when she bought it. Like, it was just woods out in the middle of nowhere, with nothing. So she started this off-the-grid lifestyle.
Wow.
She lived out of a large barn that she constructed, which I think was only partly, finished.
Wow.
It wasn't even totally done. She never hooked up electricity, never got running water.
That's impressive.
She started raising pigs and chickens.
Nice.
Because when you don't have any kind of sanitary things available to you, that's what you want to do.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Right? So
well,
she's got pigs and chickens.
Her immune system was probably very, very good.
Yeah, right. Totally.
Nature.
So she started a welding company. Like, it was just her. So she made decorative wrought iron fencing and railings. Like, you know when people get them and they have like decorative flowery things or animals and stuff?
Expensive.
That's what she did.
That is a great job. Holy cow. Impressive. They sell for so much money.
Yeah, right?
Insane.
So she made some good cash there, right? In the spring of 2013, Susan wanted to build a house on her property because maybe she wanted a toilet. Who knows?
Maybe she was like,
you know what?
I'm a little done with shitting in the woods. It's not feeling so clean these days.
So she put an ad on Craigslist for a handyman, and she hired Robert to build the house and do just general labor around the farm in exchange for cash and allowing him to live on the property with the dog, right? Okay.
Right. Awesome.
Seems like it works out pretty good for everybody.
Yeah.
That's really all the information we had on her. There wasn't a lot of stuff, but there was nothing really like in her past either that was like, all right, cool.
No big criminal.
So they're like, all right, okay, so now what? So the police are like, we don't really have a make or a model or a license plate of that sedan that he got in. So now what do we do? So they were like, okay, we can't really do anything with the sedan. So the only other lead they had was Robert's Oregon Trail EBT card.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right?
Okay, so maybe we can look where he last.
Yes. So they decided to look up the last activity on his card, and it was from mid-December.
That's
helpful,
ago.
right?
Okay.
And it's at a Walmart about 20 minutes away from Susan's farm. So like, okay, that's reasonable. So detectives drive out to the Walmart, and they were able to obtain the video from the
Whoa, it's not erased? I figured it was
that
recorded
was my
over.
thought, right? It was
I knew that was coming. I was like, oh, shit. It's going to be recorded over.
Well, it was either going to be like, well, we already taped over it, or, well, that camera broke and we never got it fixed.
That happens.
You hear that all the time, right?
Nope.
They actually got the video from, it was like a month prior. It was like, you guys still have it? Woohoo!
Wow.
So they went and they're like, all right, let's see what's going on. Well, what they saw was Susan Monica using his card.
Shit. That was the other thing I was worried about. Damn it, Susan.
Detectives headed back to the farm. This time with a warrant to search the property based on potential identity theft.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Detective Julie Denny described the property when she got there as eerie. There was a very strong odor there, a lot of decay.
Oh,
well,
I can imagine.
Well, there's pigs and there's chickens and there's humans just shitting in the woods.
Yeah.
So,
that's a lot of decay. Plus,
it's gonna be fresh.
Yeah, things die.
Nothing's gonna be fresh out there at all, right? No so she was a bit taken aback by it. The other detective said something like, when he pulled in, he was like, "Are we in the Twilight Zone?" Like it was like he was transported to a different place in time. Like
it's like Kansas, 1902,
right? From pictures and scenes that I saw of the farm, I'm going to use the word farm loosely at this point, right? To me, it looked like if a hoarder's home didn't have walls.
Oh.
Or they lived outside. Or like, have you ever seen on Hoarders when they pack the house and eventually starts leaking out into the yard?
Dude, there's one here. There's one here.
Yeah, so that's kind of what it looked like. It was like, like you stepped into a hoarder's house, only they really didn't have a house. Plus, you've seen on those where like they hoard through the bathroom and then they don't they don't use their kitchen anymore and they don't have so there was trash and broken shit. I mean it was bad, right?
Like a tornado had gone through, but it's been perfect weather for 40 years.
Right, exactly.
Nope.
Gross.
No.
Yeah, so she's got the pen
peg
for
leg.
the pigs. She's got a pen for the pigs. She's got an area for chickens and stuff. God. She slept in an area of the barn.
Wow, I was going to say they have a nicer home than she does, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Well, because it's got all their creature comforts, but she didn't even have a toilet. So, I don't know. There was a reporter on the show that said it looked like the setting of a low-budget horror film. I was like, that paints a picture.
Yes.
Police start to execute the search warrant, and it's one officer's job to take video as part of the process. So as they're doing that, there is an officer that like has the video camera and they're just kind of going through the property.
Watch
and they're
where
kind
you're
of
walking.
explaining what they're seeing or whatever, right?
He's going to be tripping trying to... Don't fall.
He's walking around filming and describing the property, and he gets to like a drainage pond area, and he stops, and on the video he says, I think that might be a leg. I don't think he was chalking chicken.
No chicken legs. Oh.
Detective Julie Denny described it as looking like the bones of a human leg from the toes all the way up to where it had been severed mid-femur.
Just in the drainage pond?
Just kind of hanging out there. Kind of, right?
Okay.
They politely asked Susan if she would go down to the sheriff's office for a little interview.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
We might have seen a little something.
Right. When they showed up to the farm, just before they started executing the search warrant, Detective Henderson spoke to Susan again and said, we saw you on video surveillance using Robert's Oregon Trail card. Mm-hmm. And she became very nervous. Like, instead of cordial, she started getting really nervous. But she explained that Robert had given her the card to use while he was gone and caring for his dog. But she also said, well, I stopped using it, though, because it expired. So it was just like, yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't mention that before, right?
Right.
So
she could have mentioned it with the cash or something. He left me his card and the cash.
So she's asked to go down to, let's go have a little chat back at the sheriff's office, shall we? Right? So she goes. This is how that conversation went down. So the detective says, to the best of your knowledge, Susan, has anyone ever died on your property? She says, no.
No.
Detective, would you tell me if there had been? And she said, I guess no.
Well, at least she's being honest.
Right, exactly, right?
With that one.
So the detective says, well, I don't know. They said they found a leg. That's how it went down. They said they found a leg.
She's like, chicken, pig, human?
And it wasn't a chicken or a pig? Okay. No. So that's when she changed her story.
Oh, my.
The second time.
Well, this Bigfoot lives up there, right?
I don't think the foot was that big.
Maybe Bigfoot killed the person.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Then she goes, well, she said that about a month after Robert took off, something happened. So she maintains that he left willingly, that he left the dog, said, I'm going to be back. Okay. But a month later, she said, this is a quote from her. I came down in the morning and I saw the pigs on something.
Oh, God.
It surprised me. So I went through the gate a little bit and I saw them eating.
Oh, Jesus.
Then I walked closer, saw what was going on, and I took my hand and I hit them to try and get them off.
God.
I saw that, he was laying there with his guts all over the place. But he was being eaten.
Oh, God.
What I thought to be alive. I thought I saw his arm move.
Girl!
And I did hear a little moaning.
Oh!
Also, I'm trying to say this the way she did it. Like, I put the pauses in.
Yeah.
But it's very just straightforward.
Monotone.
Like, this is what, like, just kind of like,
didn't know what to do.
Not hysterical, because that's what or she was dyshysterical.
She had dyshysteria.
She had dyshysteria. That's what she had.
She hadn't used the Oregon Trail card yet.
She had exactly the opposite of the amount of upsetness she should have had for this situation.
No.
Okay, so she continues to go. As far as I could tell, she spoke uninterrupted, probably because they were all sitting there with their jaws like on the floor going,
you're just okay with your pigs eating a random dude?
Right. It wasn't a random dude. She knew him.
True. It wasn't just random meat.
Right, exactly.
We didn't find him on the... He's not roadkill.
He didn't go out... They didn't go out for some strange, okay? Oh, God. So she goes, when I was unable to get them to move, I went up to my house and I got my gun and shot him.
But not the pigs.
Right. But not the pigs, exactly. I put him out of his misery.
Oh, God.
I do that, I do that for my animals. And this was the first time I did it for a human being. Like, just like it was just...
Oh, I think she's been in isolation a little too long.
she keeps going. She goes, I knew it was wrong, but if it were one of my pigs suffering out there, I would have done the same thing.
Well, that's so giving. Wow. I'm so impressed by her generosity.
I guess if a human had been out there gnawing on her pig, she would have done the same thing. Guess. Right. So, wow. Susan told detectives that after she shot Robert, she left him out in the pig pen for a couple of days.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were still hungry, so...
They started. I mean...
May as well.
It's a lost cause.
You don't want to waste the meat.
Right?
Ooh.
Hey, we live off the grid here.
Yeah.
Right? We use everything. There's no waste.
Except she did waste the bone. She could have used them for something, just saying.
Oh, well. So she also said that she removed his clothes to make it easier for the pigs.
Oh my God, now you're an accomplice.
Oh my God, right. So she waited until they kind of got out of the way, or I don't know what, but she did say she undressed him so that they could have more access.
Yeah. That's just crazy talk.
Right. Because I'm sure that's what was stopping him, his jeans. The pigs were like, he's got pants on.
Those jeans are too tight.
Right.
I hate when they're in this style.
Oh. So once it seemed that the pigs had their fill, she gathered up the remains and put them in a couple of plastic garbage bags. And then, as she did with all of her trash, just threw the bags in the barn. Because she didn't throw shit away. She didn't have, waste management didn't come. No.
She didn't have garbage service.
No, she didn't have garbage service. So she just was like, well, she just tossed it with the rest of her garbage.
Didn't even take them into town or anything.
Right. But an animal had apparently smelled the bag. I don't know how, Bigfoot. Amongst all the other crap, right?
No shit.
And had ripped open one of the bags and dragged it out. Dragged the leg out to gnaw on, because the leg did have gnawing...
Gnaw marks, like teeth marks?
Yeah, evidence.
She slept in the barn where she kept her trash.
Well, yeah, she was practically a hoarder. She also had a bucket next to her bed. So, I mean, she wasn't exactly... I mean... Her standards were far lower than the average person.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Gross. When asked why she didn't call 911 or, I don't know, shoot the pigs.
Yeah.
Or even just fire a warning shot to get them off of them, her reply was, I was thinking about my pigs and worrying that if I told anybody that they were going to come out and shoot all my pigs.
Yeah, but your pigs will get shot and you'll go to jail.
Right?
And you will never see it. What?
And detective said the only time she showed any real emotion was when she was talking about the thought of her pigs being shot.
Yeah.
The rest of the time it was all like, don't get attached, man, because we're going to eat that chicken for dinner. Like, that's the same attitude she had. But we're talking about the guy who was building her house.
Oh, my God. The pigs were hungry. What do I do?
Right. I mean, what's a person to do? So, detectives told Susan that they would be searching every square inch of her property.
Oh, good.
So, anything else you want to tell us? Is there anything else we're going to find?
Oh, gosh.
That's when she became visibly upset and asked for a piece of paper.
Oh, here, let me draw you a map.
That's what she did.
Oh, goody.
She drew a rough sketch of the layout of her property.
Oh, God.
And she made an X next to the fence of one of the pig pens. And all she said was, there's something worse in that spot.
Oh, no.
So
what could be worse?
So,
okay.
Now's a good time to take a break, no?
Yeah. Aliens? Is that worse? Alien bodies?
I don't know.
I can't think of anything worse.
Are you all right? You don't look okay. I told you it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good kind of devouring. I told you.
Oh, I feel a little nauseous. Okay. But I'm okay.
Are you all right?
Deep breath.
Deep breath. Okay. Steven Delicino was a 59-year-old handyman who lived on a property near Susan's farm.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking we were saying the same Steven. I was like, no, it's Susan.
No, it's a different Steven.
Okay. Oh, wow. There's so many.
So,
these are the Steves I know.
Right. These are the Steves I know.
Sorry.
If it helps, Susan Monica was a Steven with a V, and this was a Steven with a PH.
A Stefan.
A Stefan. Stefan. if you will.
Stepan.
Stepan, yeah. So there you go.
Okay. Got it.
So like Robert, he was also a loner. He did kind of like the nomadic lifestyle, right? Okay.
Yeah,
but he actually wasn't living on her property. He lived on a different property, thank goodness.
Good for him.
Susan told police that she had hired him to do odd jobs on her farm, and she considered him a friend, even though she really wasn't a people person.
Right.
She wasn't really people-y.
When it's the only person you talk to, they're your friend. Right. All right.
First, she told police that Steven had committed suicide by shooting himself in the head multiple times.
So the first few times weren't working. He was like, I'm still awake.
Right. Let's just sit there and think about it for a second. How does one do that multiple times?
I mean, I've heard it's possible, but it's usually like twice. Like the first time it doesn't quite work right.
No, this was more than twice.
I kind of don't believe.
He's a really bad shot.
Yeah.
Like really bad, because the target zone is right there.
Yeah. He's like, oop, I clipped an ear. Oop, I clipped the other ear.
What the hell? Yeah. So even the police were like, really?
Yeah.
Several times he did?
We need a better story here.
So then she changed the story. She's really good with the story changes. And said that in the summer of 2012, which was about a year before Robert came to live with her,
oh God,
she noticed that 2 of her guns were missing. So she went through
How did she find that out? Did she go through everything on her property? She's like,
you're right.
Whoops, it was in the washer out there.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
you're right. How could she tell that anything was missing? How did she know? So she said that she went through Steven's things and found the guns that she believed to be hers. So I guess that means she went to someone else's property and went through their shit?
Like she went to his place?
Right. She confronted Steven and they began to argue. She had a handgun with her at the time, and she and Steven began to struggle over it.
Oh, great.
Susan claimed that during the struggle, the gun went off and the bullet hit Steven in the back of the head.
We were struggling backwards.
Right? I was like, how?
She had him backwards, and he had he's I know, he's got those, like, what is it called? Double jointed, but like where it's really crazy, where they put their shoulders all the way back and shit.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm thinking that maybe she should have gotten some electricity and watched a couple episodes of Law and Order before she started planning this story, right? So she said the bullet hit Steven in the back of the head. She thought he was dead, but he surprised her by standing up and started chasing her. Also, he was a zombie. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, maybe she was like, she felt bad for him. She was mercy killing. Like he stood up, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No. He stood up and started chasing her because she took off. She was like, oh shit. And then, so she starts running towards the barn where she's able to grab a rifle.
Oh, they're just everywhere.
But I guess Steven got up to that spot and grabbed the rifle from her. And again, there was a struggle. Mm-hmm. So I don't really understand how this man
time he was shot
in the head managed to catch up to her.
Yeah. Zombie for sure.
So she said at one point during the struggle, he was down on his knees and was grabbing at her legs as she stood above him. So she took the rifle and shot him in the head.
Merely a flesh wound. So it's like, so it's almost like he lost his legs.
Get back here! I punch your kneecaps.
How about you? Oh,
right.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh,
so
another mercy killing.
Right.
Yeah. How kind.
Susan then tells detectives that she was upset and didn't know what to do. She was like, well, crap. So she left him lying in front of the barn and went to lay down.
Well, it's exhausting.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do now. Allow me to go lay down and ponder this for a while. A little while later, she went back and found that her pigs had gotten over by Steven and had started to lick and nibble his wounds. Right?
So?
And then
the
pigs dragged his body into their sty.
Nope. I kind of...
Like, so did she just sit there and watch it happen?
She's like, oh, wow, look at how resourceful y'all are.
There you go, exactly.
Wow, Wilbur.
She left the body with them in the sty for several days for the pigs to consume.
Gross.
Right?
I mean, then they're getting a taste for it. Like,
right?
In Hannibal.
After 2 weeks, 2 weeks. He was in there for 2 weeks. I can't imagine how that smelled because it's already a pigsty. Right? Mm-hmm. After 2 weeks, she found that there was nothing left but his skull, spine, and a few other bones.
Oh, God. Gross.
So she buried them behind the barn. That's where the X was.
Wow. Oh. Why?
So again, detectives asked, why didn't you call the police?
Yeah.
And again, she said she was afraid her pigs would be euthanized.
Dude.
Priorities.
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
Detective Henderson asked Susan once more if they were going to find anything else on her property.
Yeah. Come on.
Were there going to be any more bodies?
Oh, God.
And Susan replied, if I tell you about the 17 others, I'll spend the rest of my life in jail.
Dude, 17.
17.
No, you're already gonna. Just for 2. Don't worry about those other 15. Holy shit. 17?
17. So,
this
17
is full
others.
On food. This is a food source at this point. This is not.
God. Susan was arrested on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of abusing a corpse.
Yeah. Oh, what were the pigs charged with?
Overeating.
Oh, gluttony.
Gluttony, exactly.
Oh.
The next day, dozens of CSI agents and officers began combing through Susan's disgusting-ass farm.
Yeah.
Those poor people.
No.
I can't even imagine.
That job would be rough.
Since the entire property reeked of decay.
Yeah, they're everywhere. It's everywhere.
The smell of human remains went unnoticed. You know, usually you hear cops go, I smelled that smell, and it's unmistakable. You know what it is. No, they were just going through piles of discarded items in the barn. And that's when they came upon the trash bags of body parts because they couldn't distinguish that smell from everything else that fucking smelled in there.
Oh, can you imagine the amount of bugs and...
Oh,
God.
They found several black garbage bags containing a head and body parts, and later they were all identified as belonging to Robert Haney.
Wow. Okay. Wouldn't it be easier to just put all the bones and shit in the woods and hope that scavengers take them?
I feel like there are a lot of different things that she could have done.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a number of things she could have done differently.
Very true, very true. She doesn't think like us.
No. So she doesn't think she needs a toilet. I mean, there's...
there's a whole bag of difference here.
Right. An excavator was brought in to dig in the spot behind the barn where Susan had marked on her map.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long for them to pull up a bucket of dirt that had bones in the dirt.
Jesus.
And they were able to later identify that those bones did belong to Steven Delicino.
Okay, well, we're matching some bodies.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
So, authorities then notified Steven's daughter, Eva.
Oh.
She had known her dad her whole life to be a wanderer. You know, he was, but he always came back. So sometimes she wouldn't hear from him for a while, but Okay. So she hadn't heard from him in a while, but she was sure she was going to see him again someday.
Right.
So she was shocked to find out that he had actually been murdered more than 2 years ago.
God, that'd make you feel so guilty.
She didn't even know that he was missing.
No. How sad.
You know, she just assumed she was going to...
Yeah, vagabond life.
Right. So the remains from both men were sent for forensic testing, right?
Ooh,
it was confirmed that they both died of gunshot wounds to the head.
Wow.
Okay. Kind of convenient, no?
Yeah. Very easy.
Right. Police continued to search Susan's property for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
They used an excavator to dig over 130 holes, some of them as large as Olympic swimming pools.
Oh, God.
Right?
I mean, 20 acres.
Yeah. They collected more than 400 bones from the property. But all of those bones were later determined to be animal bones.
Whoa.
So none of the bones that they found happened to be human other than Robert's and Stevens.
So is she making up the 17 others?
We're really not sure. They did find what they considered to be potential evidence of other victims buried around the property.
Oh.
But not bones, per se.
Okay,
Just
so
like
belongings.
Belongings, right? And in the barn near the pigsty, Susan had a room full of what looked to be like stacks of discarded personal belongings of like dozens of people. And they knew they were from multiple people because there was an entire pile of shoes.
Oh gosh. That makes me think of the concentration camps.
Right? Oh, right. Oh, God. Detectives did look into several other people who had once lived on her property, and luckily they found all of them alive.
Oh, thank God. Jesus.
So there are some people who came to live there and made it out, right? I don't know if they just weren't the right flavor for the pigs or what. I don't know.
Like, this one's not sweet enough.
Oh, God, right? So...
Or maybe the pigs hadn't been trained to it yet.
Right. Susan pled not guilty to 2 counts of murder. She pled not guilty to all of them, but she was charged with 2 counts of murder, abuse of a corpse, and identity theft. She was charged with all those things, and she pled not guilty to everything. Whatever, right?
Great. Okay.
Her trial began on April 15th, 2015. She claimed that she shot Steven Delicino in self-defense and that she killed Robert Haney out of mercy.
Yeah.
So she was not guilty.
What a lady.
This shit just happened to me.
It's weird. Oh, my pigs are just hungry.
Susan, ever the narcissist, and this is what her attorney called her this.
Oh, no.
A narcissist.
That poor person having to deal with it.
She insisted on representing herself alongside her attorney.
Oh, fun. This will be a shit show.
Right?
Can't wait.
God, yeah.
Oh, no.
She wanted to be able to she insisted on testifying in her own defense.
Yeah, because everyone's going to love you.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you're going to win the jury over.
You're a people person.
And they always say, by all means, don't testify in your own defense, right?
But she's such a people person.
Right. She also wanted to be able to question witnesses herself. She was very adamant that she didn't want her lawyer to do it. She wanted to do it. So,
are the pigs the witnesses? Because they might have her side.
Oh, God.
I was hungry.
Gross. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I can't. So during the trial was kind of a shit show.
Yeah,
She would randomly stand up and make statements, not like object, but like just statements. Like, this is not how it works. Again, if she had just watched a couple episodes of Law and Order, we could have avoided all of this.
She could have been a lot more trained. Yeah.
Right. She'd make statements to the jury, or she'd answer questions when she wasn't the one being questioned. Like, it was just like, that's not how any of this works.
No. Oh, no.
So an Oregon State Police anthropologist, that person testified that Robert Haney's legs had been dismembered with an axe.
Oh, so she had lion shit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't... So unless the pigs grew opposable thumbs and learned how to use an axe, I
I read a lot of books about the 3 little pigs, and they built things. So.
Oh, yeah, they could build out of brick. And this is true. This is true. I don't remember them eating anybody, though.
No, good point.
The anthropologist testified that, the legs had definitely been dismembered with an axe, I guess to help them eat. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, probably.
And that his thigh bones showed signs of being gnawed on by an animal. Gross.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure I know which one.
It was unclear whether he had been dead prior to the dismemberment of his legs. So they couldn't determine.
Oh, well, yeah. How would you?
Yeah. No. You really can't.
If there's, not that much skin.
The anthropologist also testified that Steven Delicino had suffered up to 5 gunshot wounds to the head.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think that's self-inflicted.
I don't think you can self-inflict that. She only mentioned the 2 gunshots. So...
Yeah. That story's not working either.
Right. The prosecution played a portion of her police interrogation video where Susan said, they got to hear this, I do not value human life very much. My feeling, you think? Right. My feeling is the only thing wrong with the planet is that there's people on it. If not for us, all the other animals, even the dodo birds, would be here.
Yeah, but the pigs ate the dodo birds, so... Did you know? I mean, that's why the dodo birds died, so...
Are you serious?
Yes, but I think that was human. That was because humans brought pigs, but still from a different country. Still,
get out.
That was the story I always heard was the pigs.
Oh my gosh. Well,
that's ironic.
Interesting.
But I mean,
full circle.
I don't disagree that humans have caused a bunch of problems, but
hey, maybe that was her whole thing in the back of her mind was, I love dodo birds.
Yes.
Right? Humans brought pigs to kill the dodo birds, so now I'm going to make the pigs kill the humans.
Using the killer to kill again.
There you go.
Genius. Well, maybe not. Yeah. She's a lot.
Yeah.
She's excellent.
Police. She also is, how do I say this? No, she's not a very attractive woman. I mean, granted, she used to be a man, but she does do herself up for... When she was on the farm and was a woman, she looked very gruff, is the best word, right? But she did herself up very well for the trial, in which case she had this short hair and very pronounced eyebrows and lots of makeup.
While she was on the farm, she's what you would call handsome in the farm way.
Yes, there you go.
She's
handsome in the way you would think someone who shits in a bucket would look.
Yes. Yeah. And at that time, did they have like the hormones and stuff for... I
don't know. I don't think
know.
so.
Not for early time. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But I also, and I apologize, I don't mean to be offensive in any way, shape, or form. I have no problem with any of this. I really don't.
Right.
I just... If you want to be a woman, but then you're going to go ahead and wear overalls and work on a farm and look like a man anyway.
What's the point?
I don't get it.
Thing?
Like when she dressed up for court, she dressed like a woman.
Yeah,
but
she looked all nice.
All the photos of her from when she was on the farm, I was like, she didn't look good for any gender.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a good look for anybody.
Genderless.
It just was a very unpleasant.
Yeah, well.
Frumpy.
You can't even wash yourself.
Exactly.
Well, now that she's going to be in jail, she can at least have access to.
Well, there you go.
Soap.
Right. She's got soap. Oh, God.
All right.
There were several witnesses that were called that stated that Susan regularly threatened to kill people and feed them to her pigs.
Oh,
apparently that was her.
That's out there.
Right.
That's her MO.
Don't piss me off because I'll feed you to my pigs. And they were all like, Susan. Such a kidder.
Oh,
right?
God. Just give me your thigh.
Give me your thigh. Okay. They also called Susan's former cellmate, named Jordan Ferris, to the stand. Jordan testified that Susan told her that she and Robert got into an argument because he was drunk, and he tried to come on to her.
Ew. Okay.
And so because of that, she shot him and then pushed him into the pig pen.
Yeah, that's a lot different story than she was mercy killing him.
Yeah. How many stories does she have? She got a lot of stories.
Got so many stories.
She told Jordan that she watched him scream as the pigs devoured him.
That's horrifying. Oh, God.
Uh-huh. And that she chuckled as she told her the story. Gross.
Psycho.
And Susan had also given Jordan a birthday card when they were cellmates, which she had signed, "From the sweetest murderer in Jackson County, Susan Monica."
Yeah, she's not feeling too guilty at all, is she?
Right?
Yeah.
Susan's defense lawyer, who I'm sure was regretting every moment of being assigned to this case.
Why did I become a lawyer?
Right. Christine Herbert was her name. She tried to play off the birthday card thing as a poorly timed joke, and, you know, she told the jury that Susan had right, exactly.
Yeah, I'd say.
She said, you know, Susan has a strange, dark sense of humor.
Yeah, that's not funny.
Right. She told the jury, just because Susan Monica is different and strange and weird doesn't make her a murderer. No, the fact that she's
killing people is, yes.
That's the kicker, man. That's the...
Yeah, don't feed people to your animals.
That's the part we can't work around, okay?
Just watching it. I don't know how you watch that. Okay.
How do you, right? Oh, God. Okay. Just before the judge was about to send the jury off to deliberate, Susan stood up, raised her hand, and asked for the chance to demonstrate how she shot Steven. Wait.
Yes,
before they leave, can I show that?
Can I seal my fate?
To which I can only assume her lawyer went, "I quit."
Yeah, no shit. I am done.
Right.
You see what I have to do. I am now a real estate lawyer. Bye.
I can't possibly win this. The judge ignored her. Like, apparently, she, because she'd been she'd been getting up the whole time. So he's just like, didn't even acknowledge her. So she just continued on and said, I held the gun like this, and then put her arms as though she was holding a gun perpendicular to the ground, which was the only way her story could have matched forensic evidence. So it was like...
interesting. She's finally telling the truth.
Right? Huh. Well, because perpendicular, that's where it's like...
Parallel is this way, so perpendicular
Parallel, right, so
way.
Perpendicular. That matches the forensic, but that means that he literally would have had to been at her feet.
Right.
And I don't know. It just makes no... And they were like, if that, then you really didn't have to shoot him. Like, you could have gotten away if he was like there. Like, he wasn't...
Absolutely, he wasn't up.
It was a hot mess.
So,
this is going to shock you. But after that outburst, the judge sent her to jail to wait for the verdict. He was like, that's it. You're out.
Sorry. We all know how crazy you are. Just leave. Just go.
So on April 21st, here's the shocker. After only an hour of deliberation.
An hour. Get us out of this room.
Right. The jury found Susan Monica guilty on all counts.
Oh, yes.
They're like, nope, you did it all. You did the theft, the abuse, the murder. We don't believe it. Yeah, it's all correct. Right?
Good.
So she was sentenced to life, and she has to serve a minimum of 50 years before she can be considered for parole.
Oh, thank God.
And she's already 60-something.
60-something.
So,
okay. So she's in there.
There won't be any more pigs for her. Whew. The judge, Tim Barnack, addressed Susan saying, quote, you shot 2 people and fed them to your pigs. I don't know how else I can put it. You valued pigs more than you value people. It may sound harsh, but you're a cold-blooded killer. I don't know why that sounds harsh.
That was not any more harsh than what she did, so no.
I know, right? Like, he didn't use any profanity. Like, how is that harsh? Or, you're a sicko. No, he was like, you're a cold-blooded killer. Well, that's pretty much a statement.
True.
It's
very...
Susan addressed Robert Haney's family at the sentencing.
Oh, no. No, she shouldn't be allowed to. No.
She maintained her innocence, and that she maintained that she discovered him disemboweled in the pig pen, being devoured and near death. She told them, quote, I couldn't bring myself to call you to simply to say, hey, your father has finally showed up. Come and get him out of my pig pen.
Wow, that is cold.
So she felt like she was throwing them a bone there.
Yeah, no, that is
that was a bad thing for me to say. That's
ever.
Not right. Exactly.
Whoops.
Hey, by the way, your father finally showed up. Also, you can pick up what's remaining of him.
Oh. What? Whew.
Detective Eric Henderson believes that Susan told the truth when she said there were 17 others and that they just haven't found them yet. He was like, he's like, I believe it. I believe it. They just haven't been able to prove it.
Jesus.
The prosecutor, Alan Smith, has claimed that these are the strangest murders he's ever heard about, and he still has nightmares about them.
I bet. Ugh.
And in case anybody was still feeling unsettled, her pigs were euthanized.
Yeah, I mean,
the bloodthirsty pigs are no.
Yes.
The poor things. Like, they didn't.
It's not their fault.
They didn't know.
No, but oof. Psycho lady. What are you doing? Oh.
Yeah. So, really gross.
Okay.
Really gross. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, that's my lovely story.
That's insane. Where did you find this?
Are you hungry?
Story? No. For once, I am not hungry. I'm usually hungry all day, every day, all the time. Not right now. I think
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear my sources?
I'm going to go make some ham. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Just kidding. Okay. I would love to hear.
tea.
Oh, God. I really keep smelling bacon.
Oh, God. All right. So, obviously, I got some information from Wikipedia. Because,
I mean, the source of sources.
Right. And then there was mailtribune.com. And then, if you're really interested and you want to see some great video footage, you can watch Snapped, Season 29, Episode 2.
That's more than Snapped, babe. That is...
She full on cracked.
Yeah. I don't know what she did, but it's way beyond Snapped.
Ooh, yeah,
Oofta.
Okay. That is one Devourment. Not much else to say, is there?
Yeah.
Like, well...
I have questions for our friend Jamie with all the pigs now.
Oh,
Jamie.
God.
I can't wait for her to listen to this episode.
Gross.
They are so cute.
Yeah.
But,
Did she need to remove his clothes, or could they just bite through the flannel?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
or bib overalls. Maybe he was wearing Carhartts, which are very sturdy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just God.
Nasty.
And then she needs to let us know, can pigs hold an axe?
Yeah.
Can they?
Can they build a house? Do they prefer brick, wood, or hay?
Oh God. Okay.
Straw.
Well, there we go. I did
you.
also try to look. I just out of my own personal curiosity, because when Susan was being held before her trial, she was obviously in the women's side because
because that Jordan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Her cellmate was a woman. So I just was curious, because if you look her up, so she's in the corrections department as Susan Monica. Mm-hmm. And so she obviously had her name legally changed and everything. I mean, she lived a normal life as a woman for a while.
A long time.
Before she went bonkers off the grid and, So, I was just curious. I'm like, so then did she go, and all it says is that she's in their prison system. It doesn't say if she's with the male population or the female population. I was just curious.
Maybe she did get reassignment surgery at some point. Maybe it was very early on.
Maybe. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of information on her.
Yeah.
And I did try to look her up on Murderpedia, and I looked under Susan Monica and Steve Buchanan, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, dead end. So I don't know.
Ooh, someone in the prison system needs to.
I was just curious. And there is both a mugshot of her as she looks like a bald man. But then there's another one where she's wearing a very unkept gray long wig. Ew. Like, again, it's not a very...
So that wasn't her natural hair, huh? So she was
I guess not.
Oh.
I guess not. It was not a good look. I mean, not that anyone really looks good in their mugshots.
No. Well, there's one guy that became a model.
Oh, there's
because
that whole,
of his mod.
Right. Oh, that's right. Oh my God. And there's that. What was that site? The
Inmates.com.
Inmates.com.
Oh, maybe she's on there. Maybe she's looking for love.
Jesus. Okay.
You have to find a guy that looks just like a pig. That's some love.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
moving on.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
That was a very disturbing story. It really was. Thank you for that.
Hey, Oddies. Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM. If you're a longtime listener, hey, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And if you're a new listener, thanks for giving us a try. If you like us, please drop us a like, subscribe, or rate us so we can share our stories with more people around the world. And if you'd like more information, like links to our podcast and socials, along with our Patreon fan page, those links are all on Linktree under ODFM Podcast. That's linktr.ee/ODFM Podcast. Side note, you guys, we're obsessed with fan art, and we love making things with it, like stickers for our fans. So if you'd like us to use your designs, send it to us at odfmpodcast@gmail.com. And if we use your design, we'll be sure to send you a sticker.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful.